Okay, folks, welcome back. This is our midweek Wednesday market review for May 22nd, 2019. This is the dollar index. This is our daily chart. And you can see we had the ability to get above the short-term high we were looking at relative to Sunday's pre-week market analysis and review. And we're still sticking with the narrative that we're consolidation to higher or firm. 98.40 is our weekly SIBI. That's the level I'm looking for as the intermediate term draw on liquidity. So that's what I think we'll try to reach for. The market for the rest of this week will not be something I'm going to be a participant in. I've already shown you guys on Twitter how I engage relative to the things that I gave you on Sunday. So we're still looking for a higher dollar, sticking with that narrative. Looks like it should expand and clear out that second level equal highs, and above that would take us again into that weekly SIBI up here, about 40 pips above the equal highs here. We got above these equal highs. That's why this line is denoting that. Any gray level here is just a level that's been expired. Down here, we had liquidity tapped, consequent encroachment, and then expansion on the upside. On a 15-minute time frame, you can see it's been rather ugly. There's lots of chop in here. So I don't think that there's anything really to talk about, specific to the 15-minute time frame. So sticking with the hourly, as long as we're above this short-term low here, the market should be bullish and it should expand up into, at least my expectation would be expanding above 98, getting into that weekly SIBI up here. Okay, so I'd like to see it form on a large candle, one or two large candles on a daily basis. I'd like to see that, because if it gets up there on a large single day or 2-day event and it expands up there and closes on the high, like for instance, say it closes up there on Friday, it'll be interesting to see how the market digests that over the weekend. Okay, because remember, the markets typically top when the markets close on their highs, on their candles, and they typically bottom when they close on their lows or close to their lows. So it'll be interesting to see. Once we trade into this weekly SIBI and close that in, I'm neutral dollar. I need to see what we'll see after that. But right now, the narrative is we're looking for this movement up here. Okay. Euro dollar. This thing has been a mess. It's been doing absolutely nothing interesting at all. I did a couple little exercises on euro dollar this week and last, but just nothing worth mentioning. No, there was no losses, but you guys can see what I showed on Twitter, how I engaged some of them. It showed last week's history and what I did as far for this week. The bullish order block in here, we traded back down into it. Like I said, I don't think this is like a reclaimed order block. I think the sell side liquidity resting below here is suspect. They may want to drift below there and get that. Anything below here would mean that we could start looking for its weekly BISI, and that would be here, right in here. Okay, so moving into a hourly chart, we have a fair value gap up in here. That would be something to watch if we get some kind of an upside move on euro dollar. And again, I don't want to participate in this currency. That's why I don't really have a whole lot of concern for it. I haven't really mentioned too much about it. Our focus has really been on cable, and you can see it's pretty much a dead ringer. It's been doing everything you would not want to see if you were in this thing. So it looks a little heavy now. It may want to get back in sync with the cable and try to close some of the ground that it lost in terms of being held in consolidation, allowing euro pound to rally. And again, I'm not going to share that here. I'll talk about that at the end of the week at the review. But this pair has been held in consolidation, allowing cable to drop, with the dollar index being held in consolidation as well. Again, much like the dollar index, the 15-minute time frame for euro, really nothing to talk about, and I don't want to sit here and try to create some kind of a long-winded rant about nothing. It's simply nothing here of interest except for the fair value gap here, and the liquidity as mentioned on the sell side. Mixed, I wouldn't touch it. I wouldn't trade it. I'm not concerned with the euro dollar. So moving on into cable. Cable has been the superstar, rock star, the one that's been talked about in the mentorship, and here we are. We had the low targeted for this week, the liquidity resting below that, and the fair value gap in here. This is actually the mean threshold of the down close candle here, which is representing a bullish order block. Why is this a bullish order block? Because it's a fair value gap. Okay, so we traded down into it. 50% of the order block's body, not the wicks, is this wick run here is just a stop run. So the bulk of the volume is going to be in the body of the candle. That's what I'm measuring here. And I'll get you the fib and place it right over top real quick. You can see that that's what's being highlighted here. Okay, the 50 level. And yes, it went below a little bit, but that's all we're looking for. We're looking for that as a signature, and it does that rather handsomely. I mentioned the consequent encroachment on the downside. I apologize, my phone. I didn't mute my phone, but it is what it is. I'm very short on time today, so I'm not going to be doing very much editing. So this will probably be a little bit more rough cut than usual, but it is what it is. But I was looking for consequent encroachment. I mentioned that I really wasn't that ambitious for it to trade down that far, but it did and went a little bit further than that, which is fine. If it's moving in the direction you called, how are you going to be upset about that? I'm going to talk about this level here in a minute, but we can see how we swept down into those levels here. This initial run, right in here, this spike up, this is what caught everybody off guard this week on cable. Folks tried to say that this is the low, cable's going to rally. I was watching a lot of Twitter folks and a lot of people on Facebook and on certain forums. They were convinced that we had made a low here. Admittedly, I didn't take any participation on the upside, but I sat back and waited, and I watched the daily chart. And this is the consequent encouragement of a fair value gap on the daily chart. What also is at an old low. Okay, so let's go back out to a daily. And here's the old low. Hello. So we have the rejection block. And I'm just going to interject here because there's a member in this group that's really flirting with being banned, okay, because the intention is to get under my skin, okay? So this isn't Twitter. This isn't Baby Pips, okay? This isn't your house. This isn't, a free-for-all, do whatever you want to do place, okay? I'm running a business, number one. Two, an educational resource. So if you're in the mentorship and you're going on the forum and posting things to kind of like incite discord or a rebellion or some measure of this total lack of respect or disrespect, aimed at me, I'm telling you right now, you're going to be banned. And I don't care what you do after I ban you. I don't care. Okay? Because what I've taught thus far, I can sleep at night if it gets made public. There's people out there doing it right now. I'm not losing any sleep over it because this is nothing compared to what I'm going to teach. So you're not in here to make the rules. I make the rules. Okay? There's no other outside source that I am giving permission for them to operate for a collection of mentorship students to hang out. Why anybody would want to have another chat room, okay, or anything outside of mentorship, it doesn't make any sense. That's why we have a forum. I created a forum for everyone to be able to vent their either frustrations or their epiphanies. So none of the members here, this includes you, Robert, okay, you don't have the authority, okay, to tell people what they can and cannot do relative to the NDA, non-disclosure agreement, okay, and the terms of use. I set those. This is my business. This is not your business. This is my business, okay? So don't go on the forum and try to give instructions about what people can and cannot do. And Biker, you've been here for a while. You're part of the first group. You know better than to ask if there's another authorized group, okay, or a chat room where members can meet. The reason why I don't do this, and I said this before in the year one, there's no way for anyone that admins or creates a room to vet members. You don't know who's here. I'm not going to vet your members for you. I already have enough on my plate. Okay. 2, I have privacy guidelines that I couldn't tell you if they were members here or not. I can't. Now, if they make it public knowledge on Twitter or Facebook or on YouTube, then that's on them. But I'm not going to get out here and say, yeah, Joe Schmo is part of the mentorship. Okay, I'm not going to do that. There's absolutely no reason why anyone would want to go anyone else to talk about things in the mentorship, unless you either want to leak or you want to be, a troublemaker. Really, that's what it boils down to. So you're here, you're part of the membership. Be respectful. Number one, respectful to me. Because I'm not sharing a live account, which I'm not obligated to do. I'm not doing that. Your opinions about me are they're irrelevant. I could care less. I'm the one calling these moves every single week. Every single week. It's happening all the time. And I'm executing with a demo account. I'm showing the track record. I'm not going to share a MyFX book. I'm not going to do that. Because for me to do that, people can go into that. Now, here's what can happen. I can go into and create a MyFX book and say, okay, here's the trades I've taken. Number one, right away, you're going to see what I tell you all to do. I practice. Every single day, I'm in there doing something with the currency pair. Now, that's not me trading to try to make an account grow. That's just me staying refined. I want to do certain things in price action and stay sharp. Invariably, that's going to be what? It's going to show on my FX book. Now, I'm teaching. I'm going to be teaching if I make that public. Okay? How many times do you think you need to see the same thing with a fair value gap or consequent encroachment? Things of those, just the things that I've taught just recently in the last couple of months. How many things like that do you need to see before someone starts picking up on it? See, some of you guys, okay, that want this, you're not paying attention. You really are not paying attention, because I'm only showing executions in the things that I've talked about beforehand. Think about it. I don't need to scratch your itch, okay, about having a live account. I never promised that live account as part of this mentorship. Okay, I'm promising you price action and the understanding of it, and I'm proving it. So if you don't like what I'm doing, okay, then stop coming into the forum. Stop being a part of the community, because I'm not going to allow you to be disruptive. Any more further disrespectful things posted on the forum, or things of comparing what I'm teaching as an order block as supply and demand, come on. That's not what this is. And everybody that's ever studied supply and demand knows that this ain't nowhere near it. Okay, it's light years beyond it. Wyckoff, I've already said those things were things that I had already understood, but it confirmed an observation I saw just from a simple slide in Larry Williams' presentation. My stuff is beyond all that. Okay, so if you're stuck back in the 2010 era of baby pips, okay, and your ass hurt over that, okay, thinking that I'm just rehashing old stuff and renaming all that, clearly you have no idea what you're doing and you're not paying attention. And the truth of it is, it's true, because you're trying to force Eurodollar to do something I told you it wasn't going to do all this whole time, this last couple weeks. So think about it, okay? You're pushing buttons that's going to get you out of here. As simple as that. And I don't care what you do after you're gone. I don't care, okay? Because the bottom line is, I have so much more to teach, and I don't want riffraff in here acting like disrespectful punks, because this isn't baby pips. This is my house. This is my business. You don't want to conduct yourself like a gentleman, then get the hell out of here, okay? There you go. So below here, this low right in here, whenever we're looking at like fair value gaps, there are very strong signatures that repeat themselves. If a fair value gap occurs around an old low or an old high, it's very, very influential, because there's going to be a large pocket of liquidity around that level by its general characteristics. What's resting below that? Obviously, we know it's sell side liquidity. There's a fair value gap right in here, and I'm going to zoom in. We have this low, and this candle's high. Now, there's really no wick. The open is the high on this candle. So the open is 27.95.9. Okay, so there's really not much of a wick at all in here. The open is 27.95, and the high is just not even a fraction of a pip just above it. So, nonetheless, it's still how you delineate a fair value gap from all the price action. You have one candle that passes through a range of price. The previous candle's low. The candle after its high. The section in between, that's your fair value gap, and that would be this. All right, so we have this and that. So here to here. So we have this as our fair value gap. If you split that in half, you get that. There's consequent encroachment. It nails it perfectly. Now, this is the gap. So when I drop down to a 4-hour, right in here, you can see we have a smaller fair value gap. The low, you see right in here, the low, 2809, and then we have the high, 2804. Okay, so right in between, that will be consequent encroachment on a 4-hour. The 1-hour chart, you can see it hits that consequent encroachment, hits it beautifully. Now, that's that big run up. Now, did I expect this to occur? No, I didn't expect it to pop up that much, but I did say on Twitter, if you're in here, pay yourself, okay, pay the trader. And then we had this big run up. So on the days leading up to FOMC, the day before, like anything else, someone gets information ahead of time. Okay, so always expect the market to, they call it pricing in the move. It's really just people just participating in something because it's been made available to them beforehand. So they have the information before anyone else would have. So they take advantage of that opportunity. Greed. It's like anything else. Greed will be the motivating factor for that. And this right here, this could also be interpreted as manipulation ahead of the report. That's how I interpret it. You can be on whatever side of the fence you want about that. You can either have the conspiracy narrative like I have, or you can just say, well, the market's just oversold and it needs to correct. Whatever you want to call it, I'm not going to argue with you. But once it hit here, I wanted to see if we held price, and it didn't. So we started to drift off. We created another fair value gap right in here. And this should not be there. It should be right on the low of that candle. Okay, so, and this should be here. Okay, so we have fair value gap, and then the market trades right back up into the gap, order flow entry drill, and then drops down. We also have a breaker here. Okay, so that's what's trading here. Market rolls over last night and sweeps the low that we were looking for and trades down into that mean threshold of its bullish order block. The daily chart, if I go back out here, yeah, there's our daily bullish order block right here. So mean threshold, it trades down to that. Sell side liquidity, again, that was the target for this week. This was a beautiful one-shot, one-kill, which I did not participate in, but I mentioned how it went up there and traded that on Twitter, and then we've only then traded down to the objective that we were looking for this week, which was that sweep below that low. And I think if I'm not mistaken, we had something to do with dollar CAD. Yeah, we had equal lows. I mentioned on Sunday. I said if I were running the market for dollar CAD pair, what would I be looking for, or what would I try to do if I was making the market for this market? The equal lows, we had sell side liquidity. I would take it down, run that, and absorb all that, purge all the sell side liquidity, pair that with my buy side. And if I wanted to make a book that was net long on dollar CAD, I would do that down here. And then we can attack the buy side liquidity pool here, and then the consequent encouragement here, and the top of the SIBI on the weekly, or daily rather. That's what we have here. Okay, and it's what I think still is likely to unfold. What changes it if we trade below today's low. Okay, so as long as we're above today's low, we should trade up into consequent encroachment. If we get through all this, then the objective is these equal highs here, and then it can go into the 37s. Once we get above here. How it trades there, though, would have to be considered, and right now it's too far out of the range for me to even have a whole lot of conviction behind it. So right now, it really looks nice, strong price movement here. Have a little bit of an imbalance right there, and we have a volume imbalance right there as well. So looking at that low on this candle is 34.56. So remember 34.55. That may be a level to watch. It might get a little bit of sensitivity there. I'd like to see it trade above this volume imbalance and then find some support there and then make an attempt to get up in consequent encouragement that way. So that's going to be it, folks. I'm going to catch up with you guys by way of the weekly review on Saturday. It'll be posted around 5 p.m. this weekend. I got plans again with the family Friday and early Saturday, and I will not be able to get to it until after 3 o'clock on Saturday. So again, about 5 p.m. This Saturday, it should post onto the forum. I'm not going to tweet the links. Just, it'll be there by 5 p.m. Okay? So I'll talk to you next time. Wish you good luck, good trading.